Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the January 13th, 2021 meeting of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department Merit Commission. If you'd please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Major, would you lead us, please?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, we have 4 of the Merit Board members here. I'd also like to point out that Mr. Schooley is joining us via Zoom, so glad you could make it, Mr. Schooley. Thank you.
Morning.
Has everyone received a copy of the minutes from the last board meeting?
Yes.
Are there any corrections?
No.
The only correction I see is on the last page said next Merit Commission meeting is Wednesday, January 9th. That should be January the 13th. With that correction, are there any other further comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve? Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion second. Any questions? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Next thing, since this is our first of the year meeting, we need to have election of Merit Board officers. We will begin with the president's position. Do we have a nomination for the president?
I nominate. I nominate Jim Kimmel for president.
Have a nomination. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
Are there any other nominations for president? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
same. Nomination for vice president.
I'll nominate Laura.
Have a nomination for Laura Francisconi. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Are there any other nominations for vice president? Mine? Are there any other nominations for vice president? Hearing none, all in favor of Laura Francisconi for vice president signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Nomination for secretary.
I nominate Louise Mock.
Have a motion for Louise Mock. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a second. Anyone else nominating anyone for the position of secretary? Hearing none, all in favor of Ms. Mock for secretary signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you all. Which brings us to Sheriff. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Congratulations to the newly elected officers, and thank you for your previous leadership as well. We're glad that you're returning in your positions. I would, Mr. Kimmel, if you don't object, I'd like to have a moment of silence for former Chief of Police of the LaPorte Police Department, Gene Samuelson, who passed away on January 1st. Chief Samuelson served over 30 years with the LaPorte Police Department, and he was Chief of Police between the years of 1989 and 1995. So if we could have a moment of silence to remember him. Thank you. As I mentioned, the chief passed away on January 1st, and you may or may not be aware that he is one of 4 generations of police officers here in LaPorte County. His wife's father served as a police officer in the city of LaPorte and was actually killed on the line of duty in the 1950s. Chief Samuelson, obviously hired, was a police officer there. I had the honor of working with him when I hired in the LaPorte Police Department in 1988. He was a detective sergeant at the time. Just a wonderful man, and then became chief of police in 1989. And he took a chance and believed in me and sent me to Dare School in Lexington, Kentucky in 1989. And I'm very fortunate to do that, something that I had hoped and dreamed to be able to do, and I subsequently came back and became a dare officer here in LaPorte County. But he certainly had a way of dealing with people. Everybody liked the chief. Everyone referred to him as Sam. Even though he was chief, he was just that much of a likable and down-to-earth guy, so he'll be greatly missed. And his grandson, Jonathan Samuelson, is a member of the sheriff's office, so his family is in our thoughts and our prayers. Moving on to our business, Benjamin Poynton has tendered his resignation from the department. The resignation was effective on January 7th, but he's going to be paid for his unused vacation days and therefore will not be off our payroll until January 24th. He indicated that his wife has received a promotion at her place of employment and daycare has become increasingly more difficult. For now, he'll be providing care for his children. He was a November graduate of the Northwest Indiana Law Enforcement Academy and was in Phase 1 of the field training program when he submitted his letter of resignation, and I'd like to take a minute and read that I received earlier this week. Sheriff Boyd, I write this letter to inform you of my resignation effective January 7th, 2021. It's been a great experience working for the Sheriff's Department for the past 3 years. Unfortunately, I must quit the department in order to start a new chapter in my life. I must admit that it's been a tough decision, but I believe that it's in the best interest of me and my family. I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve with the department and wish you and all of my fellow deputies the best. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help ensure a smooth transition. Regards, Deputy Benjamin Poynton. We've reached out to him. We've obviously been in communication, and we have accepted his letter of resignation, and we wish him the best. With that said, that immediately moves us into the next item on the agenda is that Jail Corporal Jonathan Sikorsky was next on the merit eligibility list. He was immediately notified of the vacancy, and he's now currently attending basic recruit training at the Northwest Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. Chief Deputy Ron Heeg was able to finagle and enroll him in this session, and he has started his training Monday morning. He's scheduled to complete it on April 23rd of 2021. Because of that, we have a merit promotion approval request I'd like to read, and you'll need to vote on for approval. To the Sheriff's Merit Board, whereas applicant Jonathan K. Sikorsky, a member of the department, eligible for the promotion to rank of probationary patrolman, except as noted in waiver request form G, if any attached, has been found to have made the highest grade in written examination, years of service grade, and service rating grade total, as per reported on the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department eligibility list, published by the Sheriff's Merit Board. In my opinion, he appears to have all of the necessary attributes to properly discharge his duty in the rank sought. I hereby respectfully request the approval of the board for his promotion to that rank, which will become effective January 25th, 2021.
Hearing such, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved, Jim.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
Thank you. Probationary Deputy Jacob Payne is in Phase 1 of the field training program, and he's doing well. He's currently training on the midnight shift, and he's very enthusiastic, and he has a great attitude. The next item, we had 13 calls for service at Franciscan Hospital in Michigan City in December. This was 7 fewer than what we had in November. Again, our calls are not inordinate. Our calls for service increased slightly from November to December. When I say slightly, it was slightly. We had one more in December than we did in November. We answered 2,458 calls for service in November. December, we answered 2,459 calls for service. That category is a little light because my administrative assistant is out. She normally provides all the statistics that we put in there. She's out due to illness, so next month it'll be a little bit more thorough. Also, our crash information isn't there because our crash records clerk is out due to illness also. The 57th annual LaPorte County Sheriff's Children's Christmas Show was held in Pioneerland at the fairgrounds on December 12th. It was held in a non-traditional format thanks to COVID. We had no show, rather we did give away a number of gifts to deserving children and families. Turnout was low, but in some cases we had organizations such as Stepping Stone, Harmony House, and Family Advocates that came, and they took gifts for the families that they serve. We also then donated nearly 300 gifts and several hundred books to the Salvation Army, and we also presented them with a check for $500 that we generated from our fundraising efforts that helped with their Christmas drive. The project couldn't have happened without members of our staff who generously donated their time and volunteered coming out in the cold, and it was chilly that morning and windy. The volunteers who assisted were Chief Deputy Ron Heeg, Major Heath Hafferkamp, Captain Derek Allen, Captain Andy Heineck, Sergeant Vern Honke, Deputy Jamie Davis, Deputy Emily Van Syak, Deputy Peter Pienta, Deputy Dakota Foster, Deputy Paul Adams, Deputy Austin Howell, Deputy Michael Raymer, Deputy Alex Pishker, and Deputy David Francis. We also appreciate the volunteerism of Gino and Nick Francisconi, the sons of Merit Commissioner Laura Francisconi, and they volunteered their time that entire morning. In fact, they were there when I arrived in the morning and helped us load everything up and make sure that we got gifts to the representatives of those different organizations that came. So thank you for having them there. They were a joy to be with that morning.
They enjoyed it very much, but I will tell you, Gino was a little scared when you knew who he was right away.
We have received another unsolicited donation for the Neil Thompson Memorial Scholarship. The donation in the amount of $1,000 was provided at Christmas time from the surviving family of Neil Thompson, and they designated it for our scholarship account that is now being managed by the Unity Foundation of LaPorte County. We're really pleased with our partnership, and Mrs. Francisconi, thank you for helping us with that endeavor as well. We know that it's in good hands. The State Board of Accounts is pleased with the transition, and they will help to grow it not only in notoriety, but financially as well, more than we would have been able to do in a commercial bank. I feel much better now that it is in the hands of a community foundation, as does the State Board of Accounts. County COVID clinics for essential workers and first responders have started in LaPorte County, unless you haven't seen the news. They are located at Franciscan Health in Michigan City and the community building at the fairgrounds. The Sheriff's Office is providing security at the community building at the request of the Health Department, who's administering the clinic. The hours right now are 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week, so we have a presence there during those hours. Our employees have been eligible to receive their COVID vaccinations, and we're strongly encouraging them to receive the immunizations. COVID continues to cause staffing issues with us. We have several employees who are out due to COVID positive tests. Getting back to the community building at the fairgrounds, I've been out there the last couple of days. Chief Heeg has done the scheduling for security out there. Things seem to be going very smoothly. I don't want to say it's light turnout because all the appointment times are full, but they're at the mercy of the state who actually does the scheduling. But there have been no problems whatsoever. Everyone is very orderly and appreciative out there, and we're hoping that that's a sign of what to expect from here on out. But as the younger population is allowed to come out there, again, you have to have an appointment. You just can't show up to go out there. We don't know if that'll change, but so far everybody has been very gracious and very, very cooperative. On January 6th, the FAST team and the LaPorte County and the LaPorte police officers attempted to serve a felony warrant on an individual who resides in Belden Street, LaPorte. While attempting to breach the door, they were met by a male who was brandishing a gun. They backed away and summoned our emergency response team and our crisis negotiators. Captain Derek Allen, Detective James Lear, and Deputy Scott Lanou communicated and negotiated with him for about 8 hours before he agreed to step out and peacefully surrender. The man was suicidal. He held a gun to his head for most of the time that he was in his door at his home, refusing to come out, and he was ultimately transported to Franciscan Health for a psychological evaluation. This was another example of LaPorte County law enforcement preserving life. Our crisis negotiators are among the most patient individuals in law enforcement, and they're very, very persistent. It was very cold that night, and the extreme elements are physically and psychologically taxing to our staff, and they can lead to a loss of patience, but certainly not in this incident. We appreciate the assistance of the Michigan City Police Department. They graciously sent their SWAT team over so they could relieve our people so they could get warm and they could get food in them as well. And as I said, it truly was a team effort. Captain Allen did a fantastic job of negotiating, and I firmly believe that the individual came out because of the rapport that he had with Captain Allen and Captain Allen's quick thinking and his ability to negotiate. That is not an easy thing to do, to negotiate with somebody who is completely irrational and is armed with a weapon and really is predisposed to take his own life. But Captain Allen was able to convince him otherwise, and he's alive today. I'm convinced of that, and his family is convinced of that as well. On December 31st, 2020, Yeager, the canine partner of Deputy Andrew Morse, was retired after 8 years of service. He has several health conditions that substantially limited his ability to serve, and after much consultation, it was decided to retire him. When we consult, we talk with our department veterinarian. We talk with the coordinator of our canine program, Dallas Smythe. We talk to the canine handler. Certainly the administration is involved in this, but we also had sent Yeager down to Purdue on several occasions to get opinions, and it was everyone's collective opinion that it was time that he retire. So it's not an easy decision that we make. With that said, we're very pleased that Yeager is able to retire at Deputy Morse's home. We went before the Board of Commissioners, and they approved an agreement to ensure that that would happen. Deputy Austin Wells has been selected to become our next canine handler, and his dog has already been paid for. I think I previously had reported that at a merit commission meeting. That saved us about $1,000 by prepaying, and he'll be attending a 6-week handler course in late February at Von Lick Kennels near Grissom Air Force Base on US 31. We do have several letters of commendation, and the first one was one that was drafted by Captain Andrew Heineck, Sheriff Boyd, and the LaPorte County Merit Board. I'd like to take an opportunity to draw your attention to a case that I believe warrants not only a commendation, but also a life-saving award for Sergeant James Arnold and Deputy Keith Walls. On Monday, December 21st, 2020, at 3:46 a.m., these two deputies, along with LaPorte County EMS, and I were dispatched to the 1900 South Block of Fountain Drive within the University Park Apartments for the report of a subject threatening to jump off a balcony and commit suicide. Upon arrival of Sergeant Arnold and Deputy Walls, they located a male subject who was sitting on the edge of a railing with a strap affixed to the support pole and wrapped around his neck. Sergeant Arnold and Deputy Walls quickly made contact with the victim, who allowed them to join him on the outside balcony. Upon my arrival, I joined them on the balcony and noted that Deputy Walls had gained the trust of the subject, who had asked Deputy Walls to read a card as he began explaining the reason for his hopelessness. Deputy Walls quickly saw an opportunity to physically grab the suspect from atop the railing and pull him into the balcony. The subject began to pull the strap around his neck more tightly to attempt to harm himself, while Sergeant Arnold and Deputy Walls worked to free it from his neck by pulling the opposite way and cutting it with a knife. The victim was transported to the hospital for an emergency detention. I believe the quick actions by Sergeant Arnold and Deputy Waltz not only allowed the subject to get the mental help that he needed, but most likely saved his life early that morning. Thank you for allowing me to recognize their actions. When I received that, I sent a note to Deputy Waltz and Sergeant Arnold and Captain Heineck as well. And I said, thank you for taking the time to draft this letter of commendation for Sergeant Arnold and Deputy Waltz. There's no question that the actions of Deputy Waltz, Sergeant Arnold, and you, Captain Heineck, thwarted this potential suicide. As a result of your collective actions, you saved this young man's life. I am especially pleased at the quick thinking and strategy employed by Deputy Waltz to enable himself to gain the trust and confidence of the victim, thus allowing him to get close enough to grab onto the suspect and pull him from danger. The manner in which the three of you coordinated your efforts to stop his self-destructive actions was also textbook and tactically sound. Your selfless and brave acts have made you each eligible to receive the department's life-saving award. In addition, the letter of commendation will be read aloud at the next Merit Commission meeting and placed in your permanent personnel file. Thank you for your continued dedication to the people that you serve in the manner in which you do it, Sheriff John Boyd. I'm really proud of these three individuals. There's no question, especially after reviewing the report, that they did in fact save this young man's life. The next is an email that I received earlier this week from a resident of Wanata Hello, I just wanted to drop a note to share our appreciation of Deputy Hatley on Saturday. We had to call an ambulance for my mom on Saturday. She resides on Lincoln Street. She was very confused and we were very upset. Deputy Hatley was professional, kind, and supportive. She made a very awful situation better. She was supportive of our concerns, yet very kind to my mother, who was not so kind to her. She was supportive and understanding when we, the family, were visibly shaken. Compassion is an amazing gift, and we appreciate it very much. Please share with her our gratitude. I forwarded this to Deputy Hatley. I also responded to the lady that sent the email, and I said to the lady, thank you for taking your time to send this complimentary email regarding Deputy Hatley. I'm very pleased that you have forwarded your thoughts and observations of the performance, compassion, and empathy shown by Deputy Hatley. I'm not surprised to read this, yet I'm reassured that you, the public, are impressed with her demeanor and helpfulness. I will share this email with her supervisors and Deputy Hatley. It goes without saying, I'm very proud of Deputy Hatley. I'm really pleased that her actions made such a mark on this lady that she took the time to send an email to me letting us know how pleased she was about her demeanor and professionalism. It just goes to show the character and the passion and the empathy that our staff has for the public that they serve. You will note that there is a warrants division activity sheet that's attached to this. The others are missing primarily due to COVID. We've got a number of people that are out that normally supply that, so I apologize, but we can catch up with that next month. As a reminder, our next merit commission is Wednesday, February 10th at 9 a.m. and the pension board will immediately follow. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to say hello and welcome Andy Fox from First Source Bank, who's our pension and trust manager, and we're proud and pleased to have you here. Thank you so much, Andy, for being here with us today.
Thank you, Sheriff. Before I move forward with comments from the board, January is the month that we as the board have the opportunity to recognize members of the merit division of the Sheriff's Department, and recognizing them for activities that they did that take them beyond the expected. This is our third year doing that, and I first and foremost want to thank our three sponsors that help us take care of this, give us the nice awards that we give out to everybody. First and foremost, Mr. Andy Fox from First Source Bank. Andy, thank you so much for your support over the last 3 years. John Diedrich, the owner of T-Bones in LaPorte, the restaurant, and Laura Francisconi from Meridian Title, thank you. Speaking of Andy, when we were at the awards presentation last year, I told him that as long as the bank keeps showing progress in the pension board funding, that he would be allowed to come back. So obviously Andy's here, which is a good reflection that the bank did exceed. And I rather than going into a lot of numbers, I will just say that in 2020, the return on the pension plan, your pension plan, and this is very important you understand, this is yours, the percentage of it was 14.79% that the plan returned in investments. So Andy, thank you so much for you and your team. Also have to thank Chris Diltz and also the pension board that make sure that Andy is invited to come back again next year. On now with the 3 awards that we're going to be honored to present today. The first one is to Deputy Paul Adams. Paul is a school resource officer for the New Prairie School Corporation. When the COVID-19 pandemic surged and schools were closed, Deputy Adams was assigned to the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. During this critical time, Deputy Adams also knew and understood the importance of ensuring many students continue to receive the meals normally provided during the school day. After completing his shift, Deputy Adams volunteered to get these meals to those who were depending on that food. In addition to that, Deputy Adams volunteers as off-time managing the intramural programs at New Prairie. Deputy Adams continues to show how he will do what he can to build the trust between the youth of our community and law enforcement. Last July, Deputy Adams was involved in a traffic stop that resulted with a minor child having to be placed in the custody of a family member. Deputy Adams had the responsibility of ensuring that child would be properly turned over to those family members, and while awaiting this, he discovered the child had not eaten for several hours. Deputy Adams took the child to a fast food drive-through restaurant and allowed him to order anything he wanted off of the menu, and Deputy Adams paid this out of his own pocket. The child was thrilled with this act, and upon finishing his meal, he was given the grand tour of Deputy Adams' squad car, complete with activating the lights and other equipment. These acts of kindness are an example of going beyond the expected, and we appreciate all that he does while representing the Sheriff's Department while on and off duty. Deputy Adams, can you come forward? Mr. Fox? Lori, you want to take that? Give it to him. You don't have to take that child.
I was surprised he only wanted a burger and small fries.
Yeah, very good. So, thank you very much for your service.
Thank
We
you very
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, guys, can you guys get together for a quick pic? Thank you.
As many of you know and understand, it is the responsibility in each and every law enforcement agency in our country to provide every safety measure possible for the women and men under their command. One of those most sought after pieces of equipment is that of body cameras. And along with those cameras is the ability to store the data. On October 5th, 2020, Sheriff Boyd was made aware of a grant being available to assist with the purchasing of that equipment. The grant application was something that no one had ever seen before and would require a lot of time to complete it, as the process of the application required completion of one step at a time before moving on to the next. In late October, Major Heath Haverkamp realized he was nowhere near the completion of the grant. It should be noted that the grant could provide a total of $654,000 over a 5-year period to help secure the cameras. Major Haverkamp was scheduled to go on vacation October 26th to the 30th. Knowing the importance of completing the application for the grant, Major Haverkamp elected to postpone his vacation to ensure the process was properly completed and within the time frames established. Some may have handed this project off to another and proceeded with their vacation. However, Major Haverkamp had accepted the responsibility to complete the application and was committed to seeing it completed. This action has been accepted, the application has been accepted, and as a result, $130,908 has been received for the first year of the grant. The commitment and demonstration shown by Major Keith Haverkamp goes beyond the expected. Thank you, Major, for your commitment and dedication to the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department. Even though your wife forfeited your vacation, you were up for Thanksgiving. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Our third award goes to an individual that went beyond the expected on at least 3 occasions in 2020, with not one being more important than the other. On September 21st, the women and men of this department, as well as many other members of nearby law enforcement agencies, gathered to remember fallen Deputy Neil Thompson, who paid the ultimate sacrifice 40 years ago. Deputy Thompson's family was present and honored this day at the graveside and with a phenomenal luncheon. Many pieces of memorabilia were presented to the family. Captain Derek Allen dedicated over 9 months to prepare for this day, and to say that it was successful would be an understatement. It has been stated by many that the first responders, pardon me, it has been stated by many that in the first responder field that having AEDs in every police vehicle could save countless lives. A group called Bolt for the Heart has taken the task to obtain the AEDs. A charity run was held September 27th, and leading the way for the Sheriff's Department was Captain Derek Allen. Captain Allen spent endless hours assisting and preparing for the event, and after ensuring that all was in place the day of the run, Captain Allen became a participant. This was not the first event that was held. However, after the run in 2020, enough funds were raised and every LaPorte County squad car is now equipped with an AED. The third event was a concert at Pine Lake. It was sponsored by Bethany Lutheran Church of LaPorte, and the concert was to thank the first responders throughout the county. Before the concert began, the members of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Lake Patrol were cruising the lake that had hundreds of boats staging to enjoy the concert. At one point, and the patrol boat passed, Captain Allen was observed standing in the bow of the boat. Many said that the vision of Captain Allen brought back memories of American history, and we were able to secure a photo of Captain Allen that evening, and we will let you be the judge of the resemblance of Captain Allen's ancestors. Captain Allen, you continue to be a leader, and so many times you go beyond the expected by sacrificing your personal time with your family to do the right thing for the department, but just as important is the hours you dedicate to ensure the safety of the citizens of LaPorte County. Thank you, Captain Allen. For those of you who want to see this, you can see it afterwards. It's a picture of Captain Allen. It kind of resembles a little bit of George Washington crossing the Potomac.
See that? Yeah.
There's a striking resemblance between them and old George.
Congratulations. We gotta show off this photo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. For the recipients, I do have the boxes for those crystal awards up here that you can put those in, and please be careful as they're not anchored in that basin. They may slip out and fall and break. And if they do, I'm sure that Mr. Fox would be more than happy to get your replacements. Thank you. Again, I want to thank everyone. This was again, an example of the leadership of LaPorte County Sheriff's Department providing the merit board with some written documentation that provided us the guidance to select these 3 individuals for the recipient of the Beyond the Expected Award. We hope that we get many, many more going into 2021. And again, this is nothing that you have to wait until November or December to submit to us. If something happens during the month of January, please write it up and get it to any one of the 5 merit board members, and we will put it in a file and make a decision on the recipients in December of this year. So, as for any comments from the floor?
Mr. Kimmel, can I
Yes, sir.
just interject real quick? As you had alluded to, unfortunately, we were not able to have our annual awards banquet this year.
Correct.
Each year we talk about the volunteerism within the sheriff's office, and this was another example. We give thousands and thousands of hours to our community. I would put our agency up against any agency, no matter how large or how small, when it comes to volunteerism. But while I'm very proud of the recipients who rightfully received their awards today, it's not possible without the support of their spouses, because when they're away from their homes, they're away from their families and their spouses as well. So it's equally important that we point out the spouses and thank them for your sacrifices that you make while your loved ones are away from home for even longer. And I know we had recently asked our county council for a raise, and the comment was made, well, your deputies did work a lot last year, but they did make overtime. And when they were out working overtime, it wasn't by choice. It was out of necessity. And it was that much longer that they were away from their families, and their families had to sacrifice, and that much longer of a time period that they were potentially exposed to the hazards that we had no choice but to expose ourselves to. So thank you for the spouses that are here today and the families that are at home as well for your unimaginable sacrifices that you make every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Any other comments from the floor? Mr. Fox?
I just want to make a quick comment. I don't have a speech or anything, but I don't know if everybody can hear me. You were thanking me earlier for helping with this award. I would actually like to thank you guys.
Microphone?
Thank you guys. It's green.
Okay.
I'm just quiet.
Thank you.
Sorry. You were thanking me earlier. I'd just like to thank you guys for allowing us to be a part of this, the bank, and myself especially. Coming to these the last couple of years when we had the parties and hearing not just these awards but the life-saving awards, it's a very humbling experience for me, and so I really appreciate being a part of this. And I'd also like to point out that Captain Allen is now a two-time winner, so
Correct.
that's pretty impressive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Any other comments from the floor? If I could have the three recipients also stick around afterwards so we can get another photo, please. Comments from the board. Mr. Wheatbrook?
Nothing at the time.
I find that hard to believe. Mr. Schooley? Oh, we lost him? Okay. Ms. Mock?
I'm good.
Mrs. Francisconi?
Yeah, just a few comments, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but so many people on the department put in the volunteerism and do go above and beyond. So if you see your peer doing something and you think, wow, they are deserving of this award, please, again, it doesn't have to be long. It can be just a quick paragraph, or get it to your superior, or to one of us, because we know there's so many out there that are doing above and beyond, and if we don't know about it, then we can't, give the awards. And I heard that Andy has an unlimited budget for these awards. So, and then the other thing I wanted to say, a duly noted above and beyond to Roscoe for, I believe he put in multiple hours to get that picture exactly right of Captain Allen. So those are the little things that we don't realize take a lot of time, but he took a lot of time to get it just right. Yeah.
I'm assuming, Captain, that's going to be above your mantle. No, you better put it in the sheriff's department hallway for a while. So.
I can't outdo the major with his pictures in the hallway.
Not by my hand.
Okay. I guess there's a lot that can be said, and I think the one thing that is indicative of this department, and cannot tell you how pleased and surprised, but not surprised, when you read off the letter of appreciation for Deputy Hatley, one of our, quote, rookies, I guess, as you want to call it, but she's in a very short time found out the true meaning of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department, what the women and men of this department stand for, and she has taken that baton and run well with it. So we're very proud of the action she did as a new deputy, and she's going to fit right in, Sheriff. We're very, 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 very proud of her. So also, if people listen to the end of every merit board meeting that I've been involved in, there are always letters of accommodation that are coming to the sheriff from the public, which sends accolades to each and every one of you, whether you're in patrol, whether you're in the jail, in the detective bureau, whatever. You're playing a very integral part to not only this department, but to our community that we all reside in. So thank you for your continued support. Hope everyone stays healthy during this pandemic. We're hoping that with the vaccines now available that we may start seeing a little bit of a downtick on it, but that doesn't mean we can just relax and assume everything's going to be okay. So just hope and pray that everyone stays safe, stays healthy as we move into 2021. Are there any other comments from the board or anybody? Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a motion to have a second?
Second.
Motion seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Meeting adjourned at 9:40 a.m. Thank you.